Hello fans, I'm Kevin Piland and I want to thank you for listening to the Kevin Piland Show on iStar Radio and for watching the Kevin Piland Show on YouTube. Now, if you've listened to my last show, I was talking about Matt Lauer and Charlie Rose and how they were fired within a week of each other. I was not able to upload the last episode of my show on YouTube, and I want to explain to you why. The first video that I did across the street from the mall, I was doing the video via my phone, and then when I brought it home, I was trying to upload the show the way I normally would after formatting it to an MP4 format. Well, unfortunately the video was messed up and I couldn't even use it. I could play the video, but I couldn't use it. And because of that, I wasn't able to upload that part. Now the second video did work, but because I wouldn't want my fans watching half a show, I didn't think it was necessary. So that episode ended up being exclusively for iStar Radio. And I want to take a moment to thank Sean Hardesty, aka Slayer Crows, for putting that on for me. I really appreciate that. And if you haven't heard yet, if you've been listening to iStar Radio recently, one of my past people that I've seen on TV that has actually been on KGNC had actually done some promo work for iStar Radio, and he did a spot for the show that my friend puts online. It's an internet radio station that plays country, rock, and rap. Basically, it's pretty much fair to most people. Artists love it every day. It's great to have my show as being part of their program. And it's my privilege to say that it's going to be available on both platforms. And I love that idea. Now keep in mind that just because an episode of the show has uploaded on a specific day, there's no indication that you'll hear it on the same day. It could be within a few days, it could be a month, you never know. But I like to keep it latest, so I'll do the very best I can to communicate with iStar Radio and be part of their programs. Because many of you would like to hear me on the show. And if you're listening to me on iStar Radio, I want you to log on to Facebook and on the search bar type down The Kevin Piland Show and like the page. You'll have news clips from random TV stations, and on top of that, you'll even see the links to episodes of my show on YouTube, and in some cases Facebook exclusives as well. Now, let's get on with today's stories. Today's stories are that a gentleman whose mom was on KRBC and KTAB and even Telemundo Abilene last night was pleading for her son to turn himself in. And she warned that he wasn't dangerous. In fact, at the end of, closer to the end of last night's 10 o'clock newscast, he was arrested. He was unarmed at the time of the arrest. The arrest was made at the 1600 block of Graham. Now, the police had been searching for Gray since he fled the scene earlier that morning. A massive manhunt was underway until about 1:30 that afternoon. The scene was reopened, but the search had remained active. Willie Gray was arrested without incident. Now, I want to tell you more about the Xbox One problem that I discovered the other day. Some of you may not have heard that it ate up more data than it was supposed to the other night. And I fixed it. And I learned more about the Xbox One within a few days and learned that some games require the internet while others don't. What's the point of having a game if you can't play it? You know, that question has always been asked for many years for those whose consoles may have restrictions you may not even know about. Now, I want to talk to you about an employee who was fired after using a bag of chips to skip work, if you will. Now, this person was an electrician who used a bag of chips to conceal his location in order to play golf at times rather than work during the last 2 years. I'm not going to name this person out of respect for the company, but I will say that this person has worked for Aruna Alliance for 2 decades and made an undisclosed amount of money a year, who went golfing at least 140 times in the past 2 years, the complaint stated, according to the Australian Financial Review. This person would place his personal data assistant inside a foil bag of chips as a type of Faraday cage, which blocks electromagnetic frequencies to conceal his location, the Australia's Fair Work Commission had found. Now, the person who was fired in question was deliberate in trying to hide his whereabouts and deceive his employer. The commissioner of the committee stated that he found no plausible explanation why this person would create a Faraday cage around his PDA, except to obstruct the GPS collecting capacity of the device. This person appeared to have been deliberately mischievous in acting in this manner. Now, the company stated that the person lied about the location for 21 days in April of 2016. The PDA indicated that he was at home when he claimed to have been working at a water treatment site. This person also stated that the device suffered a glitch and offered phone records in his defense, according to the Financial Review. The commission found that this person was working many of those days in question, however, He didn't call in the alarms on jobs he was supposedly working on 2 different days. This person found out that the employee in question was not performing the work on these days that he had claimed for which he has been paid. And this person also concluded that the firing was fair. It would have to be, because there's no point in having a job if you're not going to do it. It's just simple as that. Very simple, in fact, because number one, when you have a duty to perform, you have to do it. You can't get out of it. You just can't. It just don't work that way. It doesn't. Now, and now let's talk about American Airlines for a second. The American Airlines is making employees undergo anti-racism training after the NAACP issued a travel advisory for the carrier in October. And I'll have more when we come back. And welcome back to the show. Starting in 2018, everyone at the company will need to complete annual implicit bias training, the company had announced on Thursday. And they add that they are proud of the diversity and inclusion initiatives already in place at American, but we know we can do even better. So we viewed the feedback as an opportunity, the CEO said in a letter to staff. The training program's curriculum is still being developed and will be conducted both in person and through an online module, according to a company spokeswoman. The CEO stated that airline executives met with NAACP leaders earlier on Thursday. In October, the NAACP issued a warning to black flyers, urging them to be careful when flying American Airlines. The organization stated that it had noticed a pattern of disturbing incidents reported by African American passengers, specific to American Airlines, citing 4 examples of black flyers who were forced to give up receipts or were removed from flights. The NAACP did not immediately respond to requests for comment whether Thursday's changes adequately addressed the group's concerns. In addition to the implicit bias training, American is bringing in an independent firm to review its hiring practices and has pledged overall its systems for managing discrimination complaints. American Airlines can set a new standard in corporate diversity and inclusion, and we are humbled by the opportunity before us to do so. Now, in case you haven't figured it out yet, I like to talk about news that happens not just in the United States, but Canada too. However, sometimes Canadians hear about what happens in America as well. If you're a Canadian and you're watching my show, I want to thank you for watching the show. I don't have a problem with that. After all, YouTube works in Canada as well. But some platforms are not available in Canada, which isn't fair to some people. I wish there was a way I could be available in Canada as well for those who want to listen to my show. Although there could be some solutions. If you've got a suggestion that will allow me to be heard in Canada, I want to hear from you as well. So I want you to comment on the Kevin Piland Show Facebook page and tell me if there's anything I should know, and I will review it and we'll figure it out from there. But according to CTV News, in Westchester, Pennsylvania, a man who was caught on video sucker punching a man with cerebral palsy outside a store was sentenced to 3 to 6 years in prison. Now, the person in question asked the judge for leniency during Wednesday's sentencing, saying he wanted to rebuild his life. He wanted this behind him. And according to the Delaware Times, he stated that he wanted his life back. And this will affect him for the rest of his life. The judge didn't buy into it and said he wanted none of that. The judge stated that this person was a bully. And this person was a predator and a coward. In 18 years on the bench, the judge has never had such tangible evidence of someone's moral compass being so askew. The judge cited the nature of this person's crime and what he called disrespect that the person had shown for the court by fleeing from apprehension and being untruthful about the matter. This person's sentence far outweighed the sentence recommended in state guidelines between 3 and 14 months of incarceration for the assault and probation to 6 months for the flight. And speaking of incarceration, starting at the beginning of next year, A&E is going to do part 2 of 60 Days In from Atlanta, Georgia. Now keep in mind, the program had already been taped prior to the third season. And the third season of the show had some great people who were in terrible situations. Some have been peer pressured into trying drugs when they really didn't want to. Some have walked out while others discovered that they've been caught trying to do the 60 Days In thing. In fact, there will be more information on A&E's website. I was informed about this on Twitter from one of the past participants who had been in seasons 1 and 2. Captain Scotty Maples was in charge of the first 2 seasons on A&E. And some of the people depicted in the show have done things that even I wouldn't have wanted to know why. Including one participant who was caught covering the cameras. And it wasn't the only time that it happened. In fact, in the third season of the show, a participant was with someone who covered the cameras, and that person has since been taken away. But the main purpose behind 60 Days In is to get people from all walks of life to go to a jail in question to figure out what may be going wrong in that jail in question, and to give feedback to the chief of police as well as other officers who may be wondering what's going on while they're making the arrests of other citizens who have committed crimes in recent years. And when they give their opinions to the chief of police, who may be watching cameras as well, it allows them to know if there's anything that they missed, so that they can do research on what's going on and act according to what the person had stated. When a person states something, they're telling the truth. You can't lie about it, but it's still an opinion. And when a person's opinion is important, that's why they ask for it. The candidates who go to these jails are allowed to tell one family member that they're doing this in honor of that police department in question. And it gets shown on TV in front of millions of people. And then, when they get out, when they finish, they can go back to the way things were before that, knowing they've done something right. I want to thank you for watching and listening to my show, and have a great day.